Hello everybody, Nerdy Painter here, and I thought we would sit down together and do another Within Chat. I think I'm going to try to do these weekly or at least bi-weekly. As long as we have something to talk about, I will try to do them weekly. So today we are working on Ghost Cafe still for Drills and Chills. I have kind of completed this top part right here. I'm going to work on this section right here. So I have my trays with me. I am using my tried and true Bayou Bliss tray. I'm using my Miss Creations by Danny pen. And then I'm just using some NYX Notions putty and my Pure Bliss Wax Co. wax. So that's kind of what I'm using. Let me get the first color and then we will sit down together and I will share with you guys. Another kind of rough week here. So I'm gonna just briefly give you guys a car update. We had a devastating loss on our farm this week and I'm just gonna briefly touch on that. I'm not really ready to talk about it yet. So I'll just briefly talk about that. And then I have the fall tag questions from Diamonds and Washi that she, Katie from Diamonds and Washi, that she did last week in her Drills and Chills video. And so I figured we would do those tag questions also. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And we will get started. So before I get started, let me sit down. Let me make sure you can see me. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I think you can see me. How are you guys doing? How has your week been going? I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. Thank you guys for joining me, subscribing, hanging out, liking my videos. I really, truly appreciate all of you. I've been having a lot of fun getting to know a lot of you. So thank you for your comments and just hanging out with me. I have had a hard week. So I guess we'll start with car update. So if this is your first video, this might not be the video you guys want to watch, to be honest. If this is your first video of me, please go check out another one. But if you have been following along with our car saga, I have an update that you guys aren't going to believe, but I think it's the last update. I really hope it's the last update. We kind of left off. Let me just briefly summarize in case this is your first video. We had 4 cars. My car was in the shop getting, I keep saying engine, I guess it's getting the transmission rebuilt is what's happening with my vehicle. So my vehicle is getting the transmission rebuilt. That we kind of knew was a thing. So it was at the shop. We had 3 other vehicles. One was my daughter's, one was my husband's work van, and one was his rock crawler. They all broke down within 24 hours of each other. It was crazy. My daughter's car did something funky, and while my husband was trying to go help her, his transmission went out in his work van. Actually, I think it might have been his engine. I don't know. One of them went out. It stopped working. And then his axle went out in his rock crawler. So we were kind of scrambling. And he had a friend who had a work van. He's an electrician. He had a work van for sale. So my husband went and bought that one for $6,000. The price doesn't really matter, but it just kind of goes with the story. So that's kind of where we left off, was he was coming home with that van and there was something wrong with it. It didn't completely break down, but it was broken. There was something wrong. And so his friend was like, oh, I'll get it taken care of for you. He didn't use that van because he had bought a new one. And so his apprentice was kind of using it when he needed his apprentice's help. So it was kind of sitting there. So he didn't really know, I guess there was an issue with it. So he kind of said, you know, take it to my guy, take it to the shop and I'll fix whatever the issue is for you guys. So that was very nice of him. So I think that's kind of where we left off, was that he was going to take it to the shop to see what was going on with it. And we ended up, do I need to get you guys a little closer? Or then you can't see the bottom. Yeah, okay. So then that's kind of where I think I left you guys off with, just pulling my chair closer. So he took the car, today is Friday. So he took the car last Friday to this guy's shop. And my husband kind of was like ahead of time, like, hey, I think there's something seriously going on with this van. It's not working correctly. My husband's pretty good at cars. And so he was just like, there's something going on. I don't think this is going to be he was like, this isn't going to be good news. And so we were kind of talking like, well, okay, great. What are we going to do? We don't have another option. And he's like, well, let's just see what it is and we'll go kind of from there. So, oh, you guys, you're not going to believe what was wrong with the van. It's like, you probably will at this point. If you've heard all my other women chats, you probably will believe what you're about to hear. The van needs a new engine. It needs a new engine. Yeah, all I can do is laugh at this point. So it needs a new engine, and it's going to be $10,000 to rebuild, or I don't know if it's rebuild or get a new or whatever, but $10,000 to fix this new van that we bought. So obviously not ideal, because that's why we weren't fixing his old work van it was because it was going to cost more than we wanted to spend, but also it was smaller. It was a smaller work van, so it didn't really fit his needs. So it also didn't make sense to fix it when it also kind of wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't really working for him, but we were making it work because that's what we had. You know what I mean? So yeah, so this new car that our work van that we bought needs a new engine. Now, luckily, like I said, it was my husband's friend that we purchased it from. And it does have like brand new tires, and it does have like this electrical, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but basically like if my husband's on a job site and they don't have electricity there, it's got some sort of box or something that they can get electricity from this box or whatever, because it was an electrician who owned the van. So it has some better features, and it was a bigger van than what my husband had originally. So my husband called his friend and said, hey, told him kind of what was going on, and we took it to his friend's shop. Like that, he knows the people, they're the ones that works on his vehicles. So they wouldn't have a reason to make up anything, you know what I mean? And so he told him, he said, hey, the option was giving the van back, or my husband was like, I can give you like $1,500 and I'll just run the van until it doesn't run anymore, which could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year. He'll just run it till it doesn't run. And the guy was like, his friend was like, no, I can't do that to you. I feel absolutely horrible. I didn't know that this was an issue. He obviously knows that we literally had all of our cars break, and that we're like scrambling, because obviously if we don't have a car, my husband can't work. And if my husband can't work, he's the only person who works in our household. So, it's obviously a problem. Like, we have to have a working vehicle. And he kind of knew that, and he felt absolutely horrible. He just didn't know that this was an issue. And he said, I will give you your money back. Just give me $500, which is basically like junkyard price, and then you can do whatever you want. If you want to drive it until it blows up, then drive it till it blows up. If you want to try and fix it yourself, if you want to pay them to fix it, you do whatever you want to do. But that's kind of what they ended up on, is so he bought this van for $500 that has, we know needs the engine replaced, or I don't know, replaced or fixed or rebuilt. I don't really know how it works, but so that's kind of how that ended. So my husband's been driving it the last week. Basically what it does is when you go to stop the van, it will kind of sputter and want to shut off. And so my husband just has to constantly kind of give it gas so that it doesn't do that. And so he's going to try to find a used engine And then maybe when I get my SUV back, he will try to replace the engine because he does know how to do all of that. The problem is just the time that it takes, you know what I mean? Because if it takes him a couple days to do that, of working on it, you know, for a couple days, it's a couple days that he's not available to work. And so it's more just a timing issue and him having the time to do it. But obviously that's a much cheaper option than, you know, paying 10 grand to have a car dealership or a car mechanic do it, you know, because he can do it himself. It's just a timing, him having the time to be able to do that. So I think at this point, we're just going to wait until my SUV comes back, and then he's looking right now for an engine that he will maybe try to replace it once my car comes back, and we at least, you know, he has a vehicle that he can get to jobs and things like that if he needs to. So that's kind of the car situation. It's been a thing. I think it's over because I mean, at this point, all of the cars are broken, so they can't, you know, it can't get worse. There can't be really any more drama because they're all broken now. So, he did get my daughter's car working, and she's been driving it, and she says it drives better than it ever has before, which is awesome. So at least she has a car. She's able to get to work. She's able to get to school. And I can use her car, you know, when she's off if I need to also. So at least we do have that going for us. And he's driving the van, and it's working okay. You know, like I said, he just has to kind of give it gas when he stops, which, you know, isn't ideal, but it's just, it is what it is at this point. So that's kind of the car saga. I don't think I'll have any more updates, hopefully, for you guys. That's kind of our plan, is his van is just going to sit there for a little while until we can figure out some of these other cars, and fix these. His rock crawler is back in the garage. That's going to sit there for a little while until he has just time to work on it and fix it. So that's just going to kind of be at a standstill for now. His new work van, he's going to try to find an engine, and rebuild it or replace it or whatever at some point once we get my SUV back. So kind of crazy situation, but I think, you know, it is what it is at this point. It's just, it is what it is. So that's kind of the car situation. We did have a really bad loss on our farm, and I want to I'm trying to think of how to say it. Okay, guys, sorry. I had to pause you. We had a bad loss on our farm this week. And I'm struggling with it. And I didn't want to not say anything because, you know, I just feel like that wouldn't be genuine. But I'm just not ready to really talk about it. But we lost my horse Max on Tuesday. And it's been very hard. Okay, sorry, I had to pause you again. It's been very hard. It was quick. I'm very thankful that both my husband and my daughter were home because they are not normally home. And I really needed them to be here. So that happened. And it will be okay. But it was definitely devastating. But I knew it was coming. He's old. He was 25 this year, which is pretty old for a horse, you know. I would have loved to get some more years with him, but I knew that my time with him was limited. So that happened on Tuesday. And like I said, it was quick. It's been something we've been dealing with for a couple of months. As horses get older in the winter time, a lot of times, not all horses, but a lot, as they get older, they lose a lot of weight in the winter time. And you just kind of have to supplement with grain and supplements and things. And we've been doing that the last few years. And so every year after winter, he loses a decent amount of weight. He's a 1,200 pound horse on a good day, like a good fat day. And he this past winter got down to about 980 or so pounds, so in June, I took him to the vet because I was concerned about his weight and I didn't want him to ever suffer. That was never an option. So I took him to the vet and they didn't think he looked that bad. And I'm like, well, they had always kind of worked with him since I've owned him. They've always been my vet. And they said, he is thin, but he's not scarily thin. And they felt like through the winter, he will be fine. If he doesn't gain any weight this summer, because I normally try to fatten him up, during the summer. And they said, if he doesn't gain any weight this summer, it's fine. He will be fine to go through winter at the weight that he's currently at. But we did float his teeth. They looked at him. We found that he doesn't have back teeth, like they're really worn down. So he was having a problem chewing his hay. So they suggested I put him on alfalfa pellets along with his grain and his other supplements. And so that's what I started to do. And then in June and July, he gained a lot of weight. He looked good. He was getting chunky again, to the point where we said, okay, we might have to hold off on his grain a little bit because he was getting chunky, which is good. And then I said, I don't want to hold off on his grain because I'd rather have him going into the winter fat, and that way when we know he's going to lose weight, he will, he has a little bit more on him. And then in August, things kind of turned and I noticed he started losing weight again. And he was getting skinny again. So by the end of August, he was back to the weight that he was going into summer. So he was pretty thin again. And so I didn't really know what was going on. I decided about 2 weeks ago to put him in our riding arena and just separate him from the other horses. He loved the other horses, but he was fine to be by himself. The other horses love him, but they're just annoying to him. You know what I mean? He's 25, our other horse is 11, and then we have the baby who's a year old. So they just are kind of a nuisance to him, and in his space. And he's fine he'd probably prefer to be by himself. So I put him in our riding arena just so I can see him from the house. I can monitor him, make sure he's eating, just kind of keep a closer eye on him. And so that's what we did in the beginning of September. I moved him into our riding arena and he was continuing to lose weight. He was eating all the same that he was before, but he was not gaining weight. And now, before I thought, well, maybe the other horses are stealing it, even though we lock him up when he eats. So he's away from them. But maybe he didn't eat it all, or you know what I mean? I just wasn't sure. But I knew once he was in the riding arena that he was getting all of his food. And I knew that for a fact. And he was still dropping weight. And then on Sunday, this past Sunday, so a week ago now, he wasn't eating his food anymore. He would eat some, but he would kind of leave it. And my son would go out to feed him his nighttime food and he'd say, oh, he's still got food from the morning. And that's obviously not a good sign. And so I had planned to call the vet on Monday to try to get him into the vet and see like what is going on. And then Monday kind of got away from me, and Tuesday came. And Tuesday morning I went out there because my daughter wanted to take some pictures of Hazel. And I go out there every day, if not every other day. So I've been seeing him, you know, and I knew he was getting skinnier. And it was concerning to me, but I was trying to, you know, just be positive. And, you know, I understand that as an older horse, he might just start getting skinny, you know, and he might just not be chunky monkey like he normally was. But I just noticed like he wasn't walking around to graze. He wasn't, I think I went out there at like 10 and he hadn't eaten his breakfast yet. And my son goes out and feeds at about 8 o'clock. And that's just not normal for him. He is a chunk. He loves his food. He used to kind of try to barrel you or the gate down to try and get to his food. Like he loves his food. So for him to not eat at all is not normal. It's just not normal for him. And obviously that's not good either, because if we're trying to get him to gain weight before winter, if he's not eating his food and he can't process hay anymore, there's no way to get his weight up before winter. And so I saw him when I was going, which I've been seeing him, you know what I mean? But I just kind of looked and I just knew. So I called the vet, and, you know, they kind of give you their opinion, but at the end of the day, you have to make the decision. And I just made the decision. Okay, guys, I am so sorry. I am trying so hard. Okay, so anyway, so I just made the decision. I knew it was the time. I knew it was the right decision. I'm very thankful that the vet was able to come out immediately that day. And when he got here, he kind of confirmed what I already knew, that it was just time. He was letting me know that it was time, you know. Just like any animal, when they stop eating, it's just time, you know. So that's what happened on Tuesday. It was tough. It is going to be tough for a long time, but it will be okay. But it, you know. Okay, sorry guys. We're going to stop talking about it. So anyway, that is what happened on Tuesday. It will be okay. It's just going to take time. The other horses are doing okay. Mia had a hard time as well. Him and Mia were kind of buddies. They were our only two horses for a long time. And then we've had horses, you know, at different periods of time throughout the years, but they were kind of the two constants. So she had a hard time with it. She was at the fence line, kind of knew what was going on. She was kind of neighing at him, and it was really sad. And then, you know, she's doing better, I think. But, you know, she's upset too. So we've been just kind of monitoring her and making sure she doesn't, you know, colic or have any sort of issues. But she's doing okay. She's doing better. The first couple of days, she kind of stood over by the riding arena and would kind of just neigh. And she just, you know, she knows. The baby doesn't seem to really know what's going on, and that's good. And they have each other, so that's good for them that they can be together and they have each other. But anyway, so that is kind of what happened on the farm this week. So rough week, for me, mainly. Well, it's sad for everybody, obviously, but a rough week. So I'm definitely ready for a better week, for sure. So that's that. Those are the farm updates. We did not do school this week. I kind of, we took Tuesday off, obviously. And then I had kind of planned to go back to school on like Wednesday, and I just couldn't. And obviously today's Friday, and as you can hear, I'm still struggling. So I just decided we're just going to take the week off. That is the point of homeschooling, is that you can do those things when you need to. So that's what we did this week for homeschool. We just kind of we did school Monday, and then we just kind of took the rest of the week off. And we'll start fresh next week. I hope I can be a little more put together. But it's just going to take time. It's going to take time. So that is kind of all the updates. My daughter came home actually on Monday. She went to Seattle to visit my niece, her cousin, and they did like a Spartan race up there, which she had a lot of fun. And she got to see my niece and hang out. And of course she brought a cold home. So we all kind of got a cold. So I have a cold now. And so that kind of also is why we decided to also take off school, because I'm emotionally not ready. I'm sick. Like, I'm just not ready to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not. I also haven't really been diamond painting. This is the first time that I have sat down to diamond paint since Tuesday. And so I'm just trying to get back into things, and obviously I'm sorry this is so depressing. But I didn't want to, it was either just not do videos or just be honest with how my life is right now. Because you can't pretend, you know what I mean? So I just figure, get it out, say how I feel, and that way we can hopefully be back to normal programming next week. So that's kind of where we're at. That was our week at the farm, at the house. We got the cars situated, I think. They're the way they're gonna be. We had, the farm news. My doggie is doing great. She is pretty much completely healed now, so that is good. And everything else is kind of going along like it should be, so that is good. And so that's kind of the week in a nutshell. Again, I apologize. I know that, I know this is sad, so I apologize. But I just felt like I couldn't just pretend that everything was okay. And then, it's like, how can you do a whip and chat about telling you guys about my week if I don't really tell you about it? And I was hoping I could be a little more put together than I am. But, it is what it is. And so that is the week in a nutshell. I figured we could do the fall tag questions from Diamond and Washi that she had in her video. And then at the end, I will kind of tag some people at the end that I would love to hear what they are doing for their fall activities. So we will get into the tag questions. Again, I am sorry, you guys. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? Okay, so I think I finished. There is more of this color right here, But my placement has been so horrible lately. I'm just going to try to not do that right now. I'm going to try and fill this in. So let me change my color, and then we will get started on some happier things about fall. So what is your favorite fall drink? I don't really love fall drinks. Like, I don't like pumpkin and spice and stuff. I do really like hot cocoa, and I do really like, you know, the Chick-fil-A like peppermint drink. I think that actually, I don't know when that comes out. I wonder if that's out. I would love to have one of those drinks. That's probably my 2 favorite fall drinks, is the Chick-fil-A peppermint milkshake or whatever it is. That is so good. And I think that comes out, like, it might be out right now. I'll have to check and see next time I'm in town, because I could really use one of those peppermint drinks. But that's probably my favorite fall drink. I'm not a huge like pumpkin spice type of person. It says, what is your favorite fall snack? I do like candy corn. I am one of those that likes candy corn. I know that's like there's like a huge divide of, do you like it or do you not? I do like it. I do like, though, the pumpkin ones. Like, you know how you can get like the fall mix that has like the pumpkins in it? I like the pumpkins the best. Those are my favorite, is the pumpkin candy. So probably candy corn, but the pumpkin ones. And then other fall treat, I do like pumpkin bread and stuff, like a pumpkin roll, pumpkin bread. I think those are pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily like pick that if I had like other, you know, sweet options, but like I would eat it if it was, you know, available to me, then I would eat it. So that's probably my fall snack of choice, would probably be candy corn. What's a special drill that reminds you of fall? Any of the oranges or the very vibrant reds, I think, remind me of fall, are really pretty for fall. Like any of those vibrant oranges, probably. I don't have a like number, but a like vibrant orange or a really deep, pretty red would probably remind me, or even like a really beautiful, rich brown would probably remind me of fall as well. Next question is, what's your favorite fall or Halloween kit you've completed? Well, I haven't really completed that many fall or Halloween kits. I think I've only completed like 2. I did really enjoy my Hocus Pocus Gnomes in Focus. I really liked the enhancements in that one, and I thought it was a lot of fun to complete that one. So probably that one. But I really haven't completed that many fall paintings. So I think that's only like my second. This would be like my third that would be considered like a fall or Halloween themed painting. So I don't have like a huge amount to pick from. What does fall look like where you live? Well, fall is pretty ugly where we live, at least where we live in Colorado. I know there's a lot of places in Colorado that are gorgeous in the fall time, but where we are, there's no trees. There's really no grass, even in the summertime. It's just very like dry and desert-like where we are in Colorado. And so fall is just not really that pretty. The grass and stuff starts to die. There like literally are no trees, so you don't have like the change of leaves or anything like that. It just kind of starts getting cold. So not really pretty where we are, but you could definitely travel to some areas in Colorado that are absolutely gorgeous this time of year, but just not where we are. When we used to live in Virginia, Virginia was beautiful in the fall. I loved Virginia in the fall. It was so, so pretty. but just, not as pretty here in the fall. It just kind of starts getting super cold, which it already has started to get super cold. We've already kind of been able to turn our AC off and just open up our windows, and we don't really have too much of a fall before it gets pretty cold. It's also extremely windy where we are, like extremely windy, and the wind starts to pick up, and when it's cold and windy, it feels, even colder. So not like, I don't love the fall or the winter here, but yeah, so not very pretty. What do you like to have on while you craft? Music, audiobook, etc. I answered this one last week in the in my last tag questions, so I'll just briefly say again, I like to listen to, or I like to watch Psych, or just watch YouTube videos. A good audiobook wouldn't be horrible either. I just don't have any in mind right now. Do you have any seasonal diamond painting accessories you love? I don't. I wouldn't mind getting like some good smelling putty or something like that that would remind me of like fall, but I don't have any on hand. I mean, I do have my little pumpkin that I showed you guys. So, and I can't remember what this is. It's supposed to be like pumpkin spice or something like that. So I do have that guy, but not really like anything in particular. What scent makes you think of fall and Halloween? Anything pumpkin spice. I don't know what the scent is, but like the scent when you go into like Michael's, and I think it's like on their pine cones. Like, I don't know what scent that is, but I love that scent so much. Like, I love that scent. I don't know what it is. It's the scent they have on their pine cones. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know down below. What is that scent? That's the scent I love, because I don't like the smell of pine trees. So like Christmas time, we do not do a real tree. It actually gives me a migraine, if I'm being honest. It really does. It gives me a massive migraine. So we've never done like a real tree. I cannot do that pine scent. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. But whatever that pine cone scent is that they put on like their pine cones, that's like a clove. I don't know if it's like clove or cinnamon or a mixture or nutmeg. I don't know what it is, but I love that smell. And I would get that smell and have that in my house like all year round, because I love it so much. So anything like cinnamony, like a cinnamon scent, I really like. That kind of is like my scent that I like. Do you put up any seasonal decor? We do. Not as much, like we don't put up a lot of Halloween decorations. We do put up a lot of Christmas decorations. We really focus probably more on Christmas than fall. But a lot of times my older daughter goes to the dollar store, and she will get a lot of like Halloween decorations and decorate the house with the kids and stuff. So she kind of does that every year. But more so Halloween, and then straight kind of to Christmas, not so much fall theme stuff around here anyway. Any crafty companions, dogs, cats, etc.? Yes, we have, I've mentioned many times, we have horses, we have dogs, we have cats, we have snakes, we have geckos. I actually don't think I've told you guys we have geckos. We have 2 geckos that are in our dining room. They live in our dining room in a 6-foot like cage thing. So we do have geckos, we have snakes, we have horses, we have dogs, and we have cats. So we have quite the menagerie here. And do you have any fall traditions? We don't really have fall traditions. Like I said, we focus more on Christmas. We do carve pumpkins. We do go trick-or-treating. We don't go to like pumpkin patches or anything like that, mainly because I think the closest pumpkin patch to us is almost 2 hours away, And with the age of our kids and my 3 younger kids actually get, well, actually my 2 younger kids and then my 10-year-old get very car sick. And so it's just not something I want to do, especially when, you know, the pumpkins are like $80. It's ridiculous. So we don't do anything like a pumpkin patch or anything like that. But we do carve pumpkins. We get them from Walmart and the kids will carve pumpkins. We do go trick-or-treating. We don't have any like apple picking orchards or anything like that that is near to us. I wouldn't be against doing that, but we don't have any that are near to us to be able to do that. So that was the last question. I would love to hear the answers to your questions. I'm going to tag some people that I would love to hear what they're doing for the fall. I'm going to try to do different people every time I do a tag. And obviously, even if I do not say your name, let me know your answers. You can let me know down below, or you can obviously do the tag if you do videos and let me know if you do, and I will go watch your video. I would love to watch your guys' video. I do like to watch YouTube as I'm diamond painting, so I kind of do like a little playlist of ones that I want to watch. And so if you do this, you can definitely let me know down below so I can go watch your video. But who I'm going to tag is Pam's DP Crafty Corner. I've been really enjoying her videos. She comments on my videos a lot. We've gotten to know each other a little bit, and she just seems very sweet, and I really enjoy watching her videos. So I would love to see what she's going to get up to this fall and what some of her fall traditions are. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, Courtney. She is super sweet. She just seems very down to earth, and very welcoming. She's very welcoming to new people on YouTube, and just in general, she just has a very welcoming demeanor. And so you can really appreciate that in, you know, on the internet when you feel like someone is just genuinely welcoming. And so I tag her. The diamond painting hobbyist. I recently became friends with her on Facebook, and I didn't even know she had a channel. And so I've been watching some of her videos and really enjoying them. So I would love to know what she's getting up to this fall. Our Crafty Home, they are so cute. That is Jules and Lorraine, sorry. Jules and Lorraine. They're so cute. They are a husband and wife little duo on YouTube, which I think is super unique. You don't see that very often. And so I think that's a lot of fun. So I would love to hear what they're going to get up to this fall and some of their fall traditions. I just think that's really fun to have a husband and wife sharing in their passion. I think that's a lot of fun. So I would tag them. And then let's see. Also, last but not least, Diamonds for Linda. I've been watching her videos and I've really been enjoying them. So I would like to tag her as well and see what she's getting into. So if I did not tag you, no worries. Post your answers down below, or if you make a video, post that down below so everybody can go check it out. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'm sorry that it was a little bit sad. But that is just kind of my life right now. And I just, you know, I didn't want to pretend that everything was okay. And I also didn't want to avoid and just never post a video again. You know what I'm saying? So I just needed to get it out, and so that it was out and we can kind of try to move forward. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you watching. Comment down below with your fall questions if you want, or if you do a video, let me know that so I can go check it out. And I will see you guys next week. I promise we will have a happy video next week. And I will see you guys then. Thank you so much.